so close.
Show me what you
It's
got.
contact.
Come get it. I'm the GOAT, you're not. Come and get it. You can be my
Max
man.
Verstappen
Come and get it.
claims title number 3.
A Max Verstappen win from pole. You may be fooled into thinking it's business as usual in Formula One, but this was a Grand Prix with a grandstand finish as Norris chased the 3-time world champion to the line and Ferrari nicked a podium. Let's take a look at how it unfolded in the Emilia Romagna post-race show. A warm welcome down here to the paddock. Alongside me, Davide Valsecchi, to unpack all that we have seen, Davide. And my goodness me, I think it's fair to say it was a relatively ordinary race until around 20 to 15 laps to go, and suddenly it burst into the most scintillating, exhilarating life, and we had the ultimate charge from Norris to try and nick the win at the line. How many more laps do you think he needed?
Probably 2 or 3. Yeah, then you know you have to make the overtakes, but Norris was very fast, and seems that he was improving lap by lap in the final laps of the race, while Verstappen was even more struggling. And 2 laps to the end, Verstappen was struggling a bit more. Norris, he was flying at that time. Seems that he was getting closer enough to try to overtake, and then race ended up. It was just a shame. Probably 2 or 3 laps more, and there will be couldn't be the chance. To be honest, what a race for Norris. He was never under pressure to Ferrari, and then he put so much pressure to the leader. Was a very good race from his point of view. Well done.
The jeopardy was incredible as well. Verstappen saying, my tyres have gone, GP calling for more pace at turn 2 and turn 6, understeer for Max through Tosa, Norris chasing, trying to just keep his eyes on it. It was quali lap after quali lap from the two of them. Is this it, Davide? Is it game on now? Is this the new generation coming through that we're going to see race weekend in, race weekend out, a battle between Max Verstappen, between Lando Norris, Charles Leclerc, Carlos Sainz getting up there too?
Yeah, probably you're right, because also the risk that they were taking just in the last few laps, the two top drivers were unbelievable. They were every time at the edge of the curb, sometimes touching a little bit the gravel without making any mistake. They were unbelievable, and probably, yeah, today is the proof that Norris is improved. Norris is improved. I mean, the way how he treats the tires in the second part of the race is definitely now one of his biggest key point. In every race can make the difference, because it seems that in the first part of the race, he said it, seems that Verstappen was faster, but then in the last 15 laps, he was by far the quickest in the track. And I think it can make the difference in some other circuit, in some of the races. That is a quality that you need to have to try to beat Verstappen, because this man doesn't make any mistakes. But if you are quicker than him, you can win the races.
Max Verstappen was on 3 track limit violations as well. So the pressure he was under in those last 10 laps or so, if he'd gone over 1 more track limit, it would have been 5 seconds, game over. He'd have lost the win. He had to keep it between the white lines. His battery was going at one point. There was all sorts going on for him, and yet he delivered. A mark of the man, a mark of the champion. But I would say that the Red Bull comfort zone, those simply lovely wins that we've been so used to hearing on the team radio at the end, they are a thing of the past. Do you believe that the Red Bull in its development, and obviously we've seen it drastically develop over the last 3 years, and again a new iteration of it for this season, do you believe we've hit a bit of a ceiling in how much that Red Bull can actually increase its performance?
Yeah, probably, because I don't think this weekend Red Bull was the fastest car in the track, to be honest. We saw on Friday where they were struggling. We saw his teammate, Sergio Perez, that he had an anonymous race. We saw a lot of difficulties and also some technical issues during the race, because he was struggling with the front tires at the end of the race. But then, if you have Verstappen that with this quality save you in quali and put the car on pole with the help of Hülkenberg, because Hülkenberg said it,
Yeah.
Verstappen helped me in Q2,
Big
I give back the favor in Q3. pole position. And then this type of start, where he was perfect. He pulled away a bit at the beginning, and then he managed so well at the end without mistake. I mean, it's not always like this. Verstappen could not save you every single race. For sure, in the next few races, if Red Bull don't rise up back his level, they're going to be beaten, and often also.
Well, McLaren seem to have upgraded that car. The correlation between what they're doing in the factory, what they're seeing out here on a racetrack, and we saw in Miami as well, is absolutely brilliant. I bet on both cars, those tyres were absolutely screaming. Some 30-lap old hards. I bet Zack Brown was screaming on the pit wall as well. Mike Seymour, our reporter, has found him.
Zack, wow, my heart rate went through the roof at the end of that race. How was it like for you watching?
That was the same. That was good. I think we actually made Max sweat a little bit, which was nice to see. Lando drove great. Oscar drove great. Strategy was good. Pit stops were strong. That was pretty much all we had, and we fell about 8/10 short, so not too bad for a Sunday.
It was always going to be a challenge, wasn't it, to repeat the wonderful Miami win, but this is still a great P2 result for McLaren.
Oh, it's fantastic result. Just the team's doing such a wonderful job. We just need to keep pushing because everyone's bringing their upgrades, and Ferrari was right there, so bring on Monaco. We're ready to go.
And what about Lando's performance in general over the last two races? I mean, he's really pushed Max.
He's driving brilliantly, as is Oscar. Unfortunately, we had the mistake with Oscar in qualifying. He came through, was faster than Carlos. I think was probably could have been quicker than Leclerc if we got him the track position, but we'll take a second and fourth.
Yeah, you touched on Oscar there. Was it a bit of a case of what might have been if that qualifying situation hadn't unfolded?
He obviously qualified second, and we made a mistake, which then meant he started P5, and it looked like he was quicker than the Ferraris, but couldn't get by. Difficult track to pass on, so we owe him one.
And we've got Monaco coming up next weekend, of course. Where do McLaren go from here? You're right in the fight with Ferrari. You're pushing Red Bull all the way. It's looking pretty good for the rest of the season, isn't it?
Yeah, we just got to keep doing what we're doing, but we know, Formula One, nothing ever sits still, so I think we just got to keep doing everything that the men and women at McLaren are doing, just keep pushing hard, and if we keep pushing hard and keep out developing the competition, maybe we'll finish 7/10 ahead next time.
Thanks, Zack. Appreciate it. Well done.
Thanks very much to Mike and to Zack Brown. He had a game on, I reckon, and a word for Piastri as well, because P4 for him, beating one of the Ferraris is an excellent result. We do have Yuki Tsunoda coming into shot. Yuki, congratulations. You can come through here. Go on then.
Ciao bello. Bravo.
Yuki, congratulations. Absolutely delighted for you. You've nicked a point for V-Carb here. A home race, Faenza, just miles down the road. Talk me through the start, though, first of all, because we feel that's where your race may have been compromised slightly, and an excellent recovery, therefore.
Yeah, definitely. Today's start for sure compromised our race, and with normal starts and keeping the position would help me to have a much easier race, and probably ended up a step higher position today. So we have to improve that start for the future. But for sure, very happy that we're able to score points at least in home Grand Prix, and especially a lot of people coming from the factory, a lot of the blue T-shirt with the RB. So yeah, I'll take it.
We saw some brilliant overtakes from you out there on a track that's difficult to overtake on, but we're seeing your racecraft improving all the time, the way you are racing, the composure and the patience that you have as well. How have you worked on that, and do you feel that's something in the cockpit that you're focusing on too?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I feel more relaxed in the car. For sure, I'm not like drinking tea or whatever, but
And the Negroni? No, don't drink and drive.
Maybe after. But yeah, I just I would say I can see more bigger picture. I would say able to communicate more with the engineers, everything, feeling more control. So I know what task I have to do, what target I need to achieve. So feels like less rushing at every moment, and that helps for sure to overtake Williams, because Williams was, I would say, for sure, very frustrated car to overtake, to be honest, because the straight line speed was very fast. But and especially with 2 years ago myself, I would have easily pressed the radio, lose my control, and probably ended up in a much worse situation. So for sure, in that places I feel improvement, and I mean, team helped me to for sure improve myself. So big credit to him.
There seems a wonderful correlation simulation between the team, yourself in the car. It's really working, isn't it? How difficult was Deg out there? Obviously it is warm, it's a one-stop race, but we heard many coming over the radio at the end to say the tyres are gone.
Yeah, I mean, more than 50 laps with the hard tire was a bit edgy, and I would say I had initially like first 5 laps I felt a drop of the tire degradation in a hard tire, and I didn't expect like this early, so I thought it's gonna be 2-stop. But yeah, I think we managed well with the tire, with switches, everything to help as much as possible with the tires, and yeah, I think with my tire management today, I'm very happy with it.
Davide.
And what do you think about your car and your team? Because it seems that you are working in the right direction. I mean, every single race this year, you were quick enough and able to fight for points. So what do you think is going, which direction is going your team? Because it seems that the car is working very well on your side.
Yeah, definitely, David. I think every races we going now, we're able to perform well. And I would say with the team right now in good shape, you know, everyone facing the same direction. We know what we're doing. So yeah, just keep extracting performance every races, and I think that's the main point that we achieving so far very well. And yeah, I just even every time reset, you know, next race Monaco, we still, you know, even we had such a good momentum right now, we always reset ourselves. We keep our mind sharp, and we have a maximum preparation. So for sure that preparation helping us to consistently performing well, and that's what we're gonna keep doing for sure.
Yuki, thank you so much.
Thank
well
you.
done today. Are you going to have that Negroni a bit later on?
Next race is gonna have Monaco, 2 weeks in a row, so I can't.
So,
Ever the professional,
Monaco,
I love it.
I gotta have a smash it.
Okay. Thank you very much, Yuki. He is going to hand the baton to Carlos Sainz, who joins us now. You're looking at my notes. P5 for you, Carlos. Talk me through that race. From your point of view.
Yeah, very, very tricky for me in the personal side. Yesterday after quali, we saw a couple of issues with the car that probably was holding us back also today, and yeah, it was not an far from ideal race. So not happy, because obviously at home you want to have your strongest weekend, not the weakest of the season, and yeah, for some reason everything aligned today to struggle a lot, and we need to find. I think we know more or less why, but we need to make sure we change it for Monaco and put a better package for there.
I know between FP1 and FP2 you changed the car, you felt you went in the wrong direction. Do you feel you then lurched in another direction entirely, and that again wasn't the right one?
No, it's not related to setup or anything like that. I think it's more related to other things that obviously we never in F1 can comment about them.
Okay. Obviously today you feel you extracted the maximum of what you could do. Was there more left out there?
There's always a question mark, no, that if we should have protected the undercut of Piastri, because in the end the pace was very, very tight between us, and whoever was ahead seems to stay ahead. We tried to extend to see if we fish for something, but in the end I could only extend 3 laps, so it was not really worth it. But we will learn from it and move on.
Looking ahead to Monaco then, we are seeing that the gap between McLaren, Ferrari, Red Bull has closed. We are seeing that Red Bull are no longer enjoying the comfortable victories they once were. What does that mean for you in Monaco, and where do Ferrari go from here?
I think Monaco, like always, is going to be all about qualifying now, and we need to see and we need to analyze how we can improve our car in qualifying, because it's super clear that in the race today with Charles, he wasn't far from the McLarens and the Red Bulls, no? If we start ahead, it's a completely different race, so we know where we need to focus.
Qualifying in Monaco is always something so special. Look, I know it's not exactly been the race day you wanted, we're sorry for that, but the atmosphere here, the response from the Tifosi, back here in Imola after 2 years away, how special was that?
It's incredible. I mean, it's my second to last home race as a Ferrari driver, and I enjoyed every single bit of it. I'm a bit of disappointed, not that I couldn't be in the podium up there today, but we have another go at Monza, no, and it's a circuit I love driving at, and I had some success in the past, so I cannot wait to get there and have a better one.
Carlos, thanks so much for chatting, even though it wasn't your day. Really appreciate
Cheers,
it.
thank you.
Shame for Carlos Sainz, not happy, but obviously some work to do for Ferrari behind closed doors. What did you make of Ferrari's performance today, Davide? And what Carlos Sainz was saying there in terms of, basically, I won't tell you what's going on, but it wasn't set up and it wasn't the car, it was other things going on.
Yeah, probably something related on engine or on power, because it seems that was not something that he could control during the weekend, so and after quali, so probably is that you cannot change it between quali and the race. We don't know. What is sure is that was not lucky from the beginning, because at the start he has a good launch. It seems that on top he was the best one, but then arrived at the first break and he was hold on a bit with Norris that was on his line, and he lost the position to his teammates. But in general, it seems that this weekend Leclerc had something more. Leclerc was just a bit quicker, 2 or 3 tenths every laps, and then it was the difference that there was in the race.
There's a feeling that he is holding some of the cards. I'm going to stop there. We've got Oscar Piastri joining us.
Ciao, Oscar.
Ciao, Oscar. P4, I know it's never a position that drivers necessarily want to finish, but I'm sure you can take many positives from the performance of yourself and indeed McLaren today. Sum it up from the cockpit.
I think as a team we've probably finished in the 2 most painful positions, the first behind the winner and the first off the podium. But no, in all seriousness, I think it's been a really positive weekend for all of us. You know, I think the car's been really quick from the first lap in practice, and yeah, you know, Lando was incredibly close to the win at the end, and I think for myself that was probably the most we could have done given where I started. So happy. Of course, there's always room for improvement, but yeah, I think to 2 weekends in a row be, you know, in the fight for a win is very, very encouraging.
Davide.
Yeah, I have a technical question, Oscar.
Go
Tell
for
me,
it.
please, my friend. No, it's 2 races that you are one of the best in the first part of the race. Also in the next one, also in the last one in Miami with no complete updates. You are the quickest by far at the beginning, and today also you are putting pressure, and then you jump Sainz using the pit stop, and then probably you are struggling a bit in the second half. It's something that you can correct working on the setup in the next few weekends, something where you can work on it, because your level is up there, and we saw it in quali yesterday. You were one of the best. You were the second best, my friend.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think definitely there's still some driving style things to keep working on. It's just so difficult with the tires. You know, it kind of feels like sometimes you never quite know what you're going to get. I feel like the first stint was very strong. And then the second stint, honestly, I think the pace was quite good, but I just pushed hard to undercut Sainz, which worked. And then when I saw Charles was right there as well, I pushed hard to go and get him. And I think as soon as you push a little bit on the tires, they overheat, and then it's game over. You know, I think Charles did quite a similar thing with Lando. He caught up to the back of him and then was there for a few laps and then dropped back more or less exactly the same amount as me. So I think that's something interesting. But yeah, I'll take the fast starts to the race, but yeah, it'd be nice if we can have some fast ends to the race.
Oscar, you came here having never raced at Imola. You're P4, you were P2 in quali. Yes, I know you had the penalty. We'll come to that in a moment. How did you prepare for this, and how challenging is it as a driver to come to a track where you put a wheel out? You're in the gravel, you're beached, or you're in the barrier?
Yeah, I mean, my first weekend racing here, I have been here before in an F1 car, so, you know, I wasn't completely new to the track, but definitely it's a tough one to get right. Like you said, you put a wheel wrong and you're in the gravel, and, you know, it's got big consequences. It's a bit of a shame that we still manage to have track limits even though there's gravel everywhere, so I think there's some things we can do better for next year. But yeah, it's been a really good weekend. I've felt comfortable from the first lap in practice. I think the car's been really strong. I feel like it's been a good weekend for myself with quali and how I was in the race. So yeah, just prepared well, and feel like I've built a bit of consistency as well in the last couple of weekends. I think Miami was a very solid weekend, even if the result didn't show, and I think here's been more or less the same. So I think, you know, when you start building things and building some confidence, it goes a long way.
Hindsight is a wonderful thing, so I'm going to just preempt this question with that. What might have been if you had not had the penalty, the 3-place grid drop for impeding Kevin Magnussen?
I mean, I don't know what Max's start was like, but I felt like my start was really good. I had to lift to not hit the back of the Ferrari, so if I had have got that from P2, who knows? But that's, you know, an if, but maybe, who knows?
An alternate universe.
An alternate universe, we'll never know. But no, I felt like that was good. And I think, you know, given how difficult it was to overtake, clearly starting from second would have made a big difference today. So, yeah, I think just need to tighten up in all areas as a team. You know, when you're fighting these positions, you know, small things like that make a massive difference. So, yeah, I think we just need to be trying to get stronger and stronger everywhere we can.
We've got to let you go, Oscar, but thank you. This all
Thank you
bodes
very
pretty
much.
well for Monaco. Thank you very much. Well done today. Appreciate it. OK, we did have one DNF in this race. Initially, Alex Albon pitting, saying the wheel of his car simply was not put on correctly. He then ultimately DNF'd. Let's hear from him now.
Hey Alex, how quickly did you realise that one of the wheels wasn't bolted on, and I guess at that moment in time did you realise your race was pretty much done?
Yes, I was hoping for a safety car and then a kind of a NASCAR style waving by kind of thing, but nothing really came, and then we fell 2 laps back after the penalty, so not perfect. Pretty much out the pit lane, so as soon as I got up to speed and braked into turn 1, too much vibration, and the wheel nut wasn't on. It wasn't like it was totally off, but it was just a little bit of free play. So safe to come back, but not safe enough to race.
When you look back on this weekend now before Monaco, how do you reflect on it?
I'm generally actually weirdly positive about the weekend. I think on reflection, that was the best the car's felt. Setup-wise, I think it was a good step from us. Made the car feel a bit more complete, which is something we've been chasing all year so far. But the reality is everyone's fast. The reality is that we are hovering around that 9th, 10th fastest car, and yeah, that's about it.
Right, hard luck, thank you.
Thank you.
And yeah, there's not much more Alex Albon can say from one Alex to another. Alex Jakes has now joined us. We'll come to Alex Albon in a moment, but I want just your reaction to what was a barnstorming finish to that race. It was all a little bit pedestrian. It was all a little bit. We hadn't even had a safety car. We hadn't had a yellow or a red or even a DNF at that point. Alex Albon DNFs, and then suddenly Max Verstappen's dropping back. Lando Norris begins the charge of his life, and what might have been if that Grand Prix had been 2 laps longer.
I think he only needed one more, to be honest. We don't tend to get races like that come alive almost out of thin air, but you did hear the confidence from McLaren, didn't you? Hey, everyone else is using their tyres more. That's a well-run race team, both in every department, basically. They've had the one drop with Oscar and that ruining his weekend, but what a great finish to a great Grand Prix.
You were getting very excited. I was very excited.
Yeah.
I had to stand up. When I get excited, I have to pace because I can't sit still. And I was pacing the office, I tell you.
Yeah.
Mike Seymour out there as well. His heart rate was through the roof. What was it like to call it, knowing that it was at any point?
You know why Mike's worried? Because that's a rewrite.
Yeah.
When I used to cover football, if there was a last-minute goal, they'd turn around and they'd go, rewrite to the print journos. So Mike is our fantastic print journo this weekend for F1.com. He was worried that he was going to have to rewrite it. Yeah. That is the reason that we do this job. Finishes like that, where you've got one driver massively on the attack, you've got one just he's trying to use all of his experience. That must have been like a fire alarm going off for Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
Because he's like, oh, hold on, I've got to win a Grand Prix under pressure. When's the last time he had to do that type of finish? Brilliant from both.
Quali lap after quali lap after quali lap from both of them. I absolutely loved it. You'll hear Mike, he's buzzing about the paddock now, getting us team principal reactions, but you can also read all of his brilliant words on F1.com and F1 Unlocked as well. Do make sure you sign up. It is completely free and you get so much information. Well, a DNF for Alex Albon in P20, and then Fernando Alonso. Some early promise for him, Jakesy, in that race, starting on the soft. Obviously, we thought, here we go. He's going to start on the soft, get on the hard, go long. Just wasn't to be. It didn't come to him, did it?
All went wrong for him at Ravazza in that direction in FP3. And since that moment, the team would have known that he was never going to have enough to bail out his weekend. He's had some great days in Formula One in recent times. This was not one of them. Write it off, go again at one of our great venues next week.
Great days here as well.
It's true.
Yeah. Esteban Ocon and Zhou, P14 and 15, they enjoyed a bit of action out on track, didn't they? Bit of wheel-to-wheel.
Yeah, it's one of these great things where you see so many wonderful battles and you're like, oh, that was really impressive stuff. What great brinkmanship. You know, look at the speeds that they're doing at this point. And you're thinking, oh, surely not there. And then you're like, oh, it's for P14, never mind. But at least we got to see their driving skill.
I think Alpine are still not happy, though. Both drivers are saying, well, we didn't deserve any points today. We're going to have to review. There was some promise after Miami. We had 1 point for Esteban Ocon there. But Davide, it's still not coming to Alpine, is it? And as the rest of the field jumps up, Alpine have got to keep pace, and perhaps they're not.
Yeah, the race was disappointing, to be honest, because it seems that they built up a weekend where they were close to the points position, but then you have to deliver the result in the race. In the last few races, it seems that the race pace was good enough to fight for the last part of the points, but today they were not there. Today they were far away. 3 or 4 tenths per lap was the missing part, and then there was not the NF on the top drivers. So all the top drivers they were in. The one that stepped up a bit was Stroll, that had points. Alonso was in difficulty, Stroll did a good job, but Alpine, they were not there. The pace was not fine.
Davide, as you say with Alpine, it's a similar story for Sauber as well. They're basically treading water in this transition phase to Audi. Bottas has said they need to bring updates, and it's obvious after the race that we've just seen.
Bottas has been seen leaving the Williams hospitality here. The official line from team and driver is that he'd run out of coffee. As a man who loves his coffee, I can't imagine a world in which Valtteri Bottas runs out of it.
Yeah,
I would never
supply.
run out of coffee, and I'm, a full caffeine fiend. What do you make of that, Alex, if I may?
To be honest, let's see if I can phrase this and still come back next week. A lot of people in the Williams motorhome at the moment. Let's put it that way. It's a revolving door of driver managers.
Got ya. Lance Stroll, you talked about him. He got the undercut done. He got an overtake done. He's in the points for Aston Martin from a lowly position on a track in which you can't overtake. I think that's going to be a good day for the Aston Martin, considering where they've come from, Davide, this weekend.
Because I think we need to underline the performance of Stroll, because sometimes Stroll is not so well considering. And also in Italy, he's a teammate of Alonso. Alonso is a great superstar. He's every time delivering some great result with great race, with passion, with heart, with overtakes. And so Stroll is always the second driver. But this weekend was better than him every single time. Also in the free practice 1 and free practice 2 was close. This move was amazing on the outside. What do we have to say? I mean, Stroll did his job, and if there were voices, maybe Stroll is going to be out of Formula 1 in the next future. He's proving that probably deserve the praise.
This strategy, though, from him and from Aston Martin to pit on lap 37, Kevin Magnussen doing the same. He was enjoying some brilliant overtakes out there too. It did work, but do you think they're going to be happy with P9, or are Aston Martin... I mean, that's a realistic benchmark for where I think they could have reached today. I'm not sure they were expecting more than that.
Start of the weekend, no. Start of the day, yes.
Start of the season, no.
Absolutely.
Surely, as a team who are running P2 behind Red Bull this time last year, and then the development race just ran away from them. This isn't going to be a position they want to be in, and they've brought upgrades here. They've not necessarily switched on.
Hyper competitive, isn't it? If you're not taking a step forward, you're taking a step back. That puts pressure on every single set of upgrades, and to get them working immediately. Because if it takes you 3 races to work it out, that could be 20, 30 points back. So it's tough right now, but I thought Lance executed a great race.
Yeah, he did. Sergio Perez certainly had a race in which we saw him getting overtaken a number of times. He was running his own strategy, though, on that hard tyre. Of course, many starting on the medium and coming onto the hard. Sergio Perez starting on the hard, pitting much later, going on to the medium tyre. He was saying that he thinks he may have picked up some damage there. Is that the maximum he could have got from P11 into the points at Imola in a Red Bull?
He would have known that this is nearly the worst place on the calendar to drop it in qualifying, to not have the car's full potential in qualifying. So he would have known it was a tough day. He needed fortuitous timing, an intervention of a safety car or a virtual safety car. Didn't get it. Scrub it out, go on to the next Grand Prix.
Yeah, the rhythm was not there.
No.
He pit late, he had fresh tires at the end, but we could not see it on the screen. So, I mean, I think that his rhythm was not there. It's a pity. It's a pity for him.
The next race, though, if you're trying to get a qualifying monkey off your back, is Monaco, where qualifying is even more important than it is here, and qualifying is absolutely on the limit. George Russell was P7, the team saying that he was experiencing a higher tyre deg than they were anticipating. That meant he did do the second stop, but picked up the fastest lap point because of that as well. Let's hear from his teammate, Lewis Hamilton.
Lewis, I guess another weekend or another race where you were kind of in no man's land, had comfortable from behind, not close enough at the front. Is that kind of how it felt for you in the cockpit today?
No, I mean, I had George ahead of me at the beginning, and then I never really felt, I could see people and I was chasing, so I didn't really feel like I was alone. I was just pushing, trying to close whatever gap was up ahead of me. But yeah, we don't have the pace of the others at the moment, but we are slowly eking closer.
Because it did look like the gap to the front, at least relatively speaking, it feels like you are closing.
Race pace a bit better.
Is it a big step that is needed, do you think, or do we have to just wait for all these little steps to be coming from race?
I mean, on a single lap, it's half a second. But in the race, probably a little bit less, maybe 0.3 in the race.
Well, there we go. Lewis Hamilton just stating how he felt after that race. I think encouraging signs, encouraging pace from Mercedes. He did have that off though, didn't he? At Acqua Minerale. His race could have ended very differently. Yeah. And actually, I literally said, Lewis is going well here. And the next frame...
It's your fault.
He was off at Acqua Minerale.
I was wondering. I was wondering what's happened. There's Lewis Hamilton.
I'm not
Laura Winter is
I'm not saying anything
there.
again. But then I did think, well, this is an easy victory for Max Verstappen, and look what happened. So it goes both ways. But yes, I think there is encouraging signs for Mercedes, but I feel we say this and it's one step forward, 2 steps back often with the team. Or are these upgrades their North Star, as Lewis put it?
No, I actually think they're going in the right direction, because usually when they take the fuel out of the car, the trouble begins. George Russell was really happy with his qualifying lap yesterday. Lewis is, looking at points of the weekend, like the Lewis Hamilton that we know that can go on the attack. Obviously not where we expect Mercedes to be. Obviously not the usual fare for Russell and Hamilton, but I actually think they have turned a corner in recent times. Whether it's enough, the problem is McLaren are on fire. Ferrari have brought so many revisions. If it just goes back to 2022 and them getting it wrong then, they're still making up for lost time.
Lewis is really enjoying a scrap out there. He's enjoying getting his elbows out and racing wheel to wheel again, Davide.
Yeah, it seems that in the last 3 races it changed a bit the situation in the team, because it seems that every time Russell is a bit more competitive in quali, and then Hamilton shows that he's better on the race pace and he's driving better in the battle. Yeah. So in the last few races was always like this. I'm happy for Hamilton, because it seems that was a bit lost at the beginning of the season. Also at the team radio, speaking with the team, was every time suffering the condition. But now it's coming back on form, it's coming back on shape, and it's just a car that is a little bit better to fight to the top driver. And probably Monte Carlo, that the layout is so different, that the average speed is so lower, can be an opportunity for the others, and maybe it can be an opportunity also for Hamilton and Mercedes.
Could jumble things up once again, couldn't it? Another track altogether. I can't wait for Monaco. Qualifying in Monaco, oh my goodness me. Lewis Hamilton has moved up to 8th in the Driver Championship. I don't think he'll be particularly pleased with that, a 7-time world champion, but a step forward nonetheless. Encouraging signs potentially for Mercedes. He'll also have very much enjoyed his first weekend here in Italy as a future Ferrari driver. One driver who will have enjoyed his time here. We had Carlos Sainz earlier saying he was disappointed with today. Conversely, Charles Leclerc, yes, it wasn't the win that the Tifosi dream of, that he'll have dreamed of since Monza 2019 of emulating, but it's a podium on home soil nonetheless. Jake C. And what did you make of Leclerc and Ferrari? And do you think there was any more they could have squeezed out of today?
No. I think if they were going to get a better result, they were going to lay the foundations for it yesterday. I think they would have been very, very encouraged to get up to the back of Lando. I think they would have understood why they caught Lando in the way that they did. But I think Charles has taken a step forward in recent times. He had the scamper over the chicane, but he has a lot to prove going into his home race. He's just so consistent, always in the top 4 every single Grand Prix this year, delivered the podium that the fans were looking for. Yeah, really nice stuff.
He goes from a home race for Ferrari, and I think very much the whole of Italy has taken him into their hearts as one of their own. He goes from that to, I don't know how far away is Monaco? About 2 hours up the road, something like that?
7 hours on the train for me.
7 hours, not 2, that's my terrible geography. But he's gone from the pressure here to the pressure cooker of Monaco, and we know it's a racetrack in which he has experienced highs and devastating lows.
From a technical point of view, the Ferrari is always amazing at the low-speed stuff. So that's where the confidence comes. He's grown up on those streets. He's seen the grandstands go up since he was a small child in the months before the Grand Prix. Can he disassociate how much he wants it from the performance? He's been getting better and better and better. Yeah, it's going to be great to see. He's got every chance. Ferrari have got every chance of putting it on the front row in quali in Monaco.
Oh, can you imagine? Davide, can you explain that kind of pressure that we're seeing for the likes of Ferrari here in Imola, but equally for Charles Leclerc to now carry the weight of that into Monaco?
And then Leclerc in Monaco Never been so lucky, to be honest. One season at the pole position, but then he had the little crash at the end of the quali, and he didn't start in the morning of the race. I mean, it was incredible unlucky in that place. He deserved a victory. One thing that for sure then Ferrari needs to improve is the start, because both of the driver in the last few races and the last part of the last season, they are always lacking a bit in the first launch. It seems that the rivals, they are a bit better, but if you set the pole position in Monte Carlo, there's not many meters where you need to defend the position until the first corner. So most of the job is going to be done. So I hope for them to be competitive and then to find the best Charles Leclerc, because it seems that he's in a perfect shape, and in the last few races he's better than Sainz. So he's driving well.
Weather is always an issue, can always be an issue in Monaco. We never know how that may shake up a race. Okay, we are now going to hear from our top two. Your race winner, Max Verstappen, and the man who got oh so close, Lando Norris.
Hey, Lando, damn it, you were so close to doing it again. What was going through your mind when you're hunting Max down and you were taking some chunks out of it, and it looked at one point where you might hunt him down? Might.
I mean, it was just too much to do. I got close, but then as soon as you get close, the tires just start to overheat. You lose a lot of downforce and grip, and it takes a couple laps just to kind of understand how to avoid some of that and how to drive in those conditions. Once I understood that, it was the last lap, and then I caught, but it was just too late. So, I mean, I caught like, 10 seconds or something in probably 16, 17 laps. So it was a good effort, a little too late. And to be honest, like I don't feel like I could just say, why didn't I push earlier? Because I felt like I was pushing in the beginning. You know, when Charles was catching me, I'm like, I'm under threat. And I didn't have much more in the bag, but I think it was just that turning point where they pushed a bit more in the beginning of the race. They started to hurt more and feel the consequence of that, and I was luckily the opposite way around. So just in time, I managed to hold Charles off for a few laps, and then once I got back in the rhythm, the pace was strong. But yeah, just the first didn't cost me too much today in the hot conditions. I had too much degradation on the rear tires, and we know that as soon as we have that on our car, we're in for a tough one.
It's another race weekend, though, where you've really been able to take the fight to Red Bull properly on a different circuit like that, and you were strong again in China.
Yep.
Can we start to think that every weekend now, if you keep improving the car, you should be in the mix?
If we keep improving, yes. We're getting there. I think we're still getting there. I'm not confident enough just to say we're there, we're fighting, and we're matching them 100%. It's clear, like in these conditions, the very hot conditions, Max is still that level above, and Red Bull, I would say, are that level above. But we're closer than we ever have been, and obviously I'm more confident the car's performing at its best. So we've made a lot of progress, and the team are doing an excellent job back home, and everyone here in the races. So it's nice to know that we're so close, and even with their upgrades and things, and Ferrari's upgrades, we're still better this weekend. So a lot of positive signs, and we'll keep working hard to keep it up.
Congrats.
And congrats.
Hey, Max, crikey, that was a hard-fought win. Just how much stress and pressure was there as Lando was trying to hunt you down, and you had a car where it seemed like the tyres were making your life very difficult?
Yeah, it was very tricky at the end. I think at the start the mediums were good. I had very good pace there, but on the hard tyres, it seemed like they were not working on our car. I never really got them, to fire up. And then, of course, the longer you do the stint, the worse it gets. And the last 10, 15 laps for me were extremely difficult. It's like driving on ice, and I could see, of course, Lando closing in. And the last few laps I was pushing flat out while being, for my feeling, on ice. It was so difficult to be consistent. But, of course, very happy that we still won.
From what you've seen so far this weekend, I know it's another pole, another win, but is this one of the harder fought weekends? And do you have to go away and kind of just understand fully why it wasn't as smooth as it has been recently?
Yeah, but I think naturally McLaren and Ferrari, they definitely took a big step forward. Now, it's all very close. And from our side, for sure, on the hard tire, it wasn't that good. So that's something that we definitely need to analyze. And of course, the start of the weekend, that has been an ongoing process.
Thank you.
I am so intrigued how this battle is going to rumble on. I am also intrigued why Red Bull are suffering on the hard tyre. Alex, where do you think that's coming from?
I think degradation was higher for the entire field today on every compound, but you're right. Normally, if Red Bull struggle, it's on a softer compound of tyre. It just speaks to the fact that things are closing up more and more and more at the front of the field.
Can I ask, I asked Davide earlier on, is this game on? Is this the start now of Lando versus Max? We've had 2 race weekends where, yes, things have been in the mix. You know, a safety car last time out. We didn't have a safety car here.
Yeah.
What we did have was Lando Norris chasing him down and quicker on merit on the racetrack.
Yeah.
Is this it now? Do we have this battle to look forward to for the rest of the season?
If you looked at McLaren's race pace last time out, even take the safety car out, McLaren's pace was really good. So I think we do have a legitimate fight. Now, this is a racetrack where Lando is brilliant, but Oscar was also very impressive. All the signs point to it closing up, and then we go to Monaco next, where traditionally the order can get jumbled anyway.
Dragonfly almost took you out then.
Yeah,
Straight into your eye.
We all
Excellent
tried
composure.
to carry on talking
No,
whilst the massive dragonfly went past. There we go.
Straight into your face. Okay, it's about time to hear from Charles Leclerc.
Hey, Charles, great to see you. How good was it to be on the podium in front of your home fans?
It's good. Of course, I want more, and I wish we were on the first step of the podium today. However, it's the best we could do today. I think looking back at the weekend, I'm a bit more optimistic and a bit more positive compared to how I was feeling yesterday. Yesterday, I was not very happy to see that we were still losing in the first sector, which I thought was again due to maybe tyre preparation. Having a closer look to the data after that, we realized that it was only on the launch and that McLaren and Red Bull are doing something special with the launch with their engine, and they are gaining all of it just there. And Max obviously had a slipstream other than that. So that is giving me optimism, because if we manage to fix that that launch, then I think we are in the game for the qualifying, and in the race, I don't think there's much separating us on a day like this.
A home race is next up for Charles Leclerc, so he does not have long to wait until hopefully he can go one better for the Tifosi. Okay, weekend warm-up, that will start Thursday at 4:30 track time in Monaco. FP1 on the Friday, that's at 1:30 p.m. 5 p.m. for FP2. On to Saturday, FP3 at 12:30, another normal race weekend here in Monaco. Qualifying is at 4 p.m. on Saturday, and the race coming to you at 3 p.m. My eyes almost failed me then, trying to read a time.
You shut down.
Yeah, almost. Almost. We're coming to the end of the show and it just begins to sort of, yeah. Okay, final thoughts. I enjoyed today. I thought it was a pedestrian start. The last 20 laps or so came to life. I began to pace around the office. That's my barometer of how enjoyable, exciting and stressful a race has been. Jakesy, what have you made of Imola as a whole, of this weekend, of being here, of the special, poignant weekend we have had, and also the racing we have seen?
It's a wonderful old school venue. The gravel was close. The walls weren't far away. It allowed us to see how hard Lando Norris was pushing at the end. We had one driver at the front being defensive and digging deep and making the tyres last, and the other one on full attack. That is why we love Formula One.
And how much have you enjoyed being back together,
reunited
with your GP2 commentator, Davide Valsecchi. Davide, welcome to you as well to F1 TV. How much have you enjoyed this weekend and being not just reunited with Alex Jakes, but creating a new duo of Laura and Davide?
With the best presenter in the world, Laura Witt.
Don't let her tactics work, Davide. No.
I didn't even pay him to say that. I didn't even pay him, honestly.
No, I really enjoyed it. And I enjoyed the weekend. The track was so hard for everyone. Shows that the champion Verstappen is still there. But it's clear now that there is battle for every single race, and it seems that McLaren and Ferrari with Leclerc, they are so close that they could win every weekend in every circuit. So it's going to be a very good Formula One season for sure.
It is. And I do believe that our friends in the gallery have prepared us a treat. The graphics department, you know it never sleeps. And as we go to Monaco, we're going to try and see. Step in. It's fine. It's the end of the show.
Come on,
We're all
Rhea,
good.
come.
I see. Old school.
Oh, my goodness.
Old school Monaco glamour.
I am obsessed Oh, my notes have flown away as well.
That's fine, we don't need
This looks
that.
fantastic.
Well, that's the
Okay.
most dashing I've ever looked.
The-
My wife's going to ask me why I don't look like that normally.
Oh, the graphics department, aka Paul, need a raise. Davide, thank you so much for joining us. You've brought so much joy, passion, and joie de vivre here to Imola. I've loved having you alongside me. Alex Jakes, thank you to you. Thank you to Mike asking the questions, to Lawrence in the pen. Thank you to all of you for joining us here. Max Verstappen wins. Lando challenges. We'll see you in Monaco.
Welcome to Monaco. My home race.